Welcome to another episode of the Game Used Podcast by Resolution Photomatching. I'm your host, Will Hamilton. Before we get started, a quick reminder that Resolution Photomatching is the leader in game use authentication. A ResMatch provides the highest level of accuracy, credibility, and value to your memorabilia. Visit resolutionphotomatching.com or email info@resphotomatching.com for a quote to pinpoint your piece of sports history. All right, today we're switching things up a bit. This is our first Resolution Roundtable. No guest, just the team. We've got some fun topics in store today. We're talking shop and talking the latest in the world of game used and whatever else comes up. So with me here is Sherman Chan, our ResMatching director, Justin Nuzzo, our ResMatching and Business Ops Senior Associate, and of course, John Robinson, you'll recognize him, Resolution Photomatching founder and owner. Always good to see you guys, and it's a real pleasure to do it here on the podcast. John, I'll throw it over to you to kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Will. Excited to get things going on a different style episode here. The first non-guest interview, the Resolution Roundtable today. So we'll see how things go, but I'm excited about trying out mixing in a slightly different format here. To start off, I wanted to kind of run a topic or a couple topics by you guys. And we're going to do kind of a little segment here that we're going to call In the News of Game Used. So we're checking out some of the big game use stories in the news from the last few weeks. Some of these aren't, they didn't happen yesterday, but some interesting stuff in the world of game use that we wanted to talk about. And I want to start it off with, I was watching a lot of the WBC, and this was a story that got some mainstream attention. It was on ESPN, it was on MLB.com. And a really cool one, I thought, when in the World Baseball Classic final pregame, the Team USA guys wore the Team USA hockey jerseys from the gold medal game of the Olympics. Did you guys see this story? Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, that was shocking to see those jerseys get out of those hockey players' hands and into theirs somehow so quickly too. But that was really cool, really interesting. I've never seen anything like that either. So it was surprising, but awesome to be able to rep the gold medal game, the win. Wish we would have got the win again, but can't win them all.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really cool that the baseball team wanted to see if they get some of that good mojo from those jerseys, but unfortunately didn't happen.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about the logistics behind that. I mean, don't you think a lot of those guys would want to hang on to their jerseys? Did they all just get collected? I know some items went to the Hockey Hall of Fame, which we'll get to in a bit. But how did they en masse ship all those items to Miami for the game?
I was reading about it a little bit, and I guess it was kind of a behind-the-scenes conversation between one of the hockey guys and one of the baseball guys. It was Pete Crow Armstrong, and I think Jack Hughes, who was the guy who scored the game-winning goal for the hockey team. And those were the guys, and I guess the jerseys were property or in the possession of Fanatics. And so Fanatics, apparently both of those athletes are partners or sponsored by Fanatics. And so they got to talking, and it was like, can we do this switch? I wonder if there was probably someone in the Fanatics, on the Fanatics team that kind of maybe was part of this idea as well. And so credit to them if they were kind of involved in that. But I thought it was really cool seeing, all the USA's coming together, even if the final result wasn't what the baseball team was hoping for.
Yeah, I wonder if the Fanatics team was just holding their breath. Like, I swear, if one of you guys spills a cup of coffee or something on one of these jerseys, oh my goodness.
Well, it was, I'd love to see. Occasionally, we'll have a really unique res match like that too, where that would be such a cool item to have submitted if we're ever able to get them from Fanatics, to where if we could res match it to the hockey team wearing it for the game winning or the gold match, and then the pregame of the baseball guys. res match into both those would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember we worked on like a Team USA basketball set back in the day, but yeah, never the baseball. So that would be awesome.
Mhm.
I remember I think me, Will, and Sherman were talking about those jerseys too when it first came up, and we were like, no way, those are the game used ones. Like I'm actually shocked that they are, but that'd be awesome to work on.
Yeah, that was a cool one. But then, and then, Will, do you want to talk a little bit about the other story that we were talking about a little bit in the news here?
Yeah. Well, I think Jack Hughes, his quote was, "This is bullshit." Excuse my French,
Yeah.
but he was not particularly pleased. He wants his overtime goal puck that won the U.S. the gold medal over Canada, and I don't blame him. I mean, but the Hall of Fame, the Hockey Hall of Fame, took it, so it's in Toronto, and he's not getting it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I see kind of all sides of this one, but the one thing that stands out to me is the Hockey Hall of Fame is in Canada, and this was a USA
Yep.
thing. It was USA beating Canada, so that's where I'm a little bit. Yeah, maybe he has a point there, but
Yeah, would it
Yeah,
be different if it was Sidney Crosby who scored the winner and Canada won, like, and then he
maybe.
asked for it? Would he
Mhm.
get it? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know,
Maybe.
but we can think. We can have hypotheticals.
Yeah, that was the same thing I was thinking, John. I feel like they're probably just a little bitter.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like their last ditch effort to kind of spite the Team USA.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting, like you say, well, kind of hypothetical, or in this case, an actual situation. But who should have the first right to something like that? So Jack Hughes scored the game-winning goal. If it was an NHL game, typically all that stuff I would assume would be property of the NHL. And that I kind of get. But this is a little different because it was Olympics. So it's like, you know, is it up to like some Olympic committee to make the decision? But as far as, the Hockey Hall of Fame just taking possession, I would think I would lean at going more to the player again if it's not a NHL decision or something like that. It would be interesting who made that decision.
I think the puck was property of the specific league, like the international league, and
Mm-hmm.
they were the ones that, I don't know if they donated it or just, I guess they were the ones that gave it to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Um, so that's how they came to possession of it, and yeah,
They
they
kind
don't want to
of
give it.
made the decision.
They
Yeah,
made the decision. They don't want to give it back to him.
yeah. It kind of reminded me too of I remember hearing the story, and I don't remember where it ended up, but on the baseball side, the 2016 World Series, Chicago Cubs winning their first World Series in however many hundred something years. And I remember Anthony Rizzo caught the last out of the World Series. And I remember him talking about how he immediately stuck the game winning baseball in his back pocket and just held it. And I can't remember if he ended up with it, if he got to keep it or just did keep it. I would hope it got MLB authenticated, but that kind of reminded me of that same kind of thing, the winning piece from a big championship like that.
Yeah, I've always thought about that too, like at the end of the NBA finals or even the NCAA tournament with that going on, like, and they're winding down the clock and they just toss the ball in the air. I'm like, if I was ever in those shoes, like, I'm just hanging on to that with two hands. No one is taking that from me. But yeah, fortunately, I think that opportunity has passed me. But yeah, it's fun to see what people do in those celebrations. And in my head, I'm just screaming, "Hang on, hang on!"
I've kind of thought
Yeah.
about a similar situation. Like if one of us was at, let's say we were at Mariners game and it happened to be the World Series, let's say game 7, and one of the Mariners players hits a walk-off home run and you catch it. Do you keep it and potentially sell it, or do you keep it for your own collection? Do you
The classic
give it,
question.
do you give it back to the team? Do you try to trade it? I personally, as a collector, I think I'd want to keep it, but I could, I think it would be fitting for it to be with the team and allow other fans to see it.
Be tough not to sell it at auction.
And that too.
I gotta say, I mean, I think this is amongst game used collectors and maybe people at large kind of a controversial topic, but it's the classic question. My take on it kind of is, we obviously we're in the industry, we know the value of these pieces. A lot of people don't get that. And I think that's where it's almost like kind of the teams or the league taking advantage of some people that don't know what these things are worth. My take on it is I love to see it if the players or the team get that piece back, but I think they should pay fair market value for it. If you catch a ball that's worth $1 million and they say, oh, let's make a trade, we'll give you a signed bat that's worth $500 for $1 million ball. To me, that's just like, these teams, these players have all this money. That's just, I don't like that. So I think I would be of the opinion I'd love to see the team get it back if they'll pay a fair price for it. If not, I think there's nothing wrong with someone taking it to auction. But that's my take.
Yeah. Would you be willing to negotiate? I mean, like Diamond Club seats for life, something like that, or you want the
again? If it would have to be close to market value.
Yeah.
And so, but if these teams or players should know what those things are worth. Obviously, we in the game used industry know what they're worth. And so, yeah, if they were giving me something close to fair market value, I would try and get it back to them. But if they weren't, I think I would say, it's going to auction.
Did that happen with like an Otani ball where somebody caught it and the team like offered them like tickets and a bat or something for a couple $100,000 ball? Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not like they don't have the money to pay for it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this this idea that, well, they're owed that, the players owed that. And I get it if they want it back, but again, they have the money to pay for it. And so it versus a fan who, of course, the average fan, that's a life-changing amount of money if you're talking a really high value piece. And so they need that money a lot more than the player or the team does. So yeah, it was a great topic there, Sherman. I like that one.
Yeah.
Will, did you have any other in the news of game used topics?
Yeah, digging back a little bit further, want to talk about the Super Bowl, and not just because the Seahawks won it, no big deal, but it was Patchapalooza in the Super Bowl. Coming into it, the Seahawks were celebrating their 50th anniversary, so they had a patch on the front of the jersey the whole season. Then, of course, you have the Super Bowl logo patch, and then they also had the USA 250 patch that was added that we didn't really know about until the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. So the Seahawks had 3 patches on their jersey. The Patriots were pretty similar. The Seahawks don't do the captain's patch, so thankfully you didn't have a couple players running around with 2 different things on their shoulders or front chests. But the Patriots did, so they had the Super Bowl USA 250 and the captain's patch. So Drake May looked like he was a sticker sheet on the front of his jersey a little bit. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. A lot of people were talking about that. But then we've also started to see some memorabilia from the Super Bowl get auctioned off. I know there was the opening kickoff football from NFL auctions that literally was just booted and was a touchback, and that was about it. But that went for I know, Sherman, you were the one who brought that to our attention. I don't know if you saw the final sale number for that football.
Yeah, I believe it sold for $15,000 for, like you said, just a touchback. And it was kind of interesting because I was watching one of the many Seahawks videos on the Super Bowl, and I can't remember if it was like Turning Point or one of the NFL official ones, but they zoomed in and had a close up of the ball right when they kicked it, and you could see that it was the exact same number on the ball. So essentially photo matched right there. But yeah, that's a lot of money for essentially a touchback.
Yeah. Have you seen anything else come to auction? I know it's probably going to be some time, and a lot of players you'd think would want to hang on to those items.
I think the NFL auctioned off another ball. I think it was another K ball, another kickball, and this one I believe was signed by Kenneth Walker, the MVP, and
Hmm.
I think it went for like 10,000. But I want to say those are the only Super Bowl 60 items, game used items that I've seen so far.
Yeah, those are some big pieces for sure. I mean, anytime you're talking Super Bowl, those numbers are getting up there. But yeah, Will, the patch thing is interesting. That's I'll be honest, I noticed the patches, but they didn't stand out to me as looking really, clustered or too busy or anything. But I'll have to take another look because yeah, that's getting up there in the number of patches.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good thing we never got to 4. The Seahawks had the captain patch. Haven't seen that, but
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot going on. So those will make those Super Bowl jerseys extra special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that people were complaining, saying like, "Oh, what's next? NFL is gonna become like NASCAR and have all these, sponsorship patches." But
Right.
none of the ones on the Super Bowl jerseys were sponsorship patches, and it was only for the one game. So I don't know what people are complaining about it. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of the last league, aren't they, that doesn't have any sponsorship on their jerseys. I don't know about the NHL, maybe they're there too, but basketball, baseball,
Oh,
they all have sponsorships now.
yeah, NHL definitely does.
Yeah.
I want to say I don't know if all of the teams do, but most of them do. The Kraken definitely do.
That's true. Yeah, they have Muckleshoot Casino or
Muckleshoot
something. Yeah.
Casino,
And they have
yeah,
the helmet
something along
too.
those lines.
Like I think the
Yeah.
one roof, or maybe it's the Amazon logo, but they've got
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, the NFL is like the last league that really doesn't have sponsorship on the jerseys, and I mean I love that. I think any fan's gonna love that, But yeah, the way MLB has done it and NHL, I'm okay with it. If it gets to the point where it's the soccer jerseys that instead of the team name you have a sponsor name, that would drive me nuts.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, don't get any ideas, NFL.
yeah. Cool. Well, let's jump into our next segment. I'm excited about this one. We're going to try a draft here, and this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a draft of resolution res-matched pieces. And here is how it's going to work. We have 4 people here. So it's going to be 4, and it's going to be 4 by 4. So each of us is going to draft 4 items. And it's going to be res matches that have been made in the last 12 months. So going back to March of 2025. And the factors of what we're kind of drafting basically our favorite items. So we're going with, our favorite, kind of the coolness factor of both the item itself. And then you can also factor in the res matches. So whether it's the res matches that were made, the dates that it was matched to, or even like characteristics on the item, just kind of our favorite items from the last 12 months that we've done here at Resolution. Um, what we're not considering is item value. So we're not just drafting the most, financially valuable items or, you know, really, low value items, that we're trying to, keep under budget or anything. That is not in play. So it's just going to be the coolness of the item, the coolness of the res matches. And we're going to have one more twist. And so it's going to be 4 items per person, and they have to be from 4 different sports or non-sports. So we're going to be keeping track. Each person can do, it could be baseball, basketball, football, hockey. We'll even go league. You could do maybe an NBA and an NCAA. Or, we even res match some non-sports items. So it could be, a concert item or a screen worn item from a movie or TV show. So those are going to be kind of the rules of the draft. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to get a random draft order going. So I'm going to ask some AI here to randomize our names.
I thought it was usually
And
youngest first.
yeah, I thought you'd like that, Justin, but we're gonna keep it random here. You guys are gonna have to trust my. I'm not turning on
Yeah,
screen
sure.
sharing or anything here, so you guys are gonna have to trust my order here.
Oh, John 1-1, shocking.
Yep.
All right, so the order, and I will say I should have said this ahead of time, but I think it's gonna be best. We're not gonna do the classic snake draft. We're gonna go. So first pick is gonna have a little bit of an advantage here, just so we can keep a rotation going. So it's gonna be the first pick of every round. Drum roll here. Will, randomized. You have earned the first overall pick. Pick 2 of the randomized order is Justin. Pick 3 is myself. And I'm very sorry, Sherman, you're going to be the last pick of each round. So, Will, I'll give you a second here. And then once you're ready, start it off. Obviously, this is 1-1 here. So you can pick any sport, any item that we've res matched in the last year. Do you have one in mind?
I do. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you, John. Never doubted your integrity. Yeah, this is a real honor. 1-1, and I have a great jersey in mind. Very timely considering the NCAA tournament going on into the second weekend now. And so my first selection is going to be the Kevin Ware Louisville jersey from the infamous game in which he unfortunately suffered the severe injury. I'm sure we all know the one. But yeah, that was a heartbreaking moment. And then the Louisville team went on to rally, and he was their rallying cry. They brought his new jersey, not this jersey that we res matched, but they brought another jersey of his with them through the Final Four national championship. I'm even picking them despite them beating my Michigan Wolverines in the championship. But yeah, this was an awesome jersey. I believe we res matched it to 6 states, 3 games in the ACC tournament. They went on to win the ACC championship, and then 3 dates in the NCAA tournament. So the opening round, second round, and then it was the infamous game in the Sweet 16 in which he suffered the injury. The fascinating part about this jersey was that it was actually cut up. When they took him to the hospital, they cut the jersey off of him. And so when we got this jersey from the client, it was framed. So we weren't even able to see pictures of the back, but we had enough based on the mesh hole alignment compared to the front lettering and the numbers, as well as the kind of camouflage tiger stripes that were on the sleeves. So the mesh holes and the stripes were both deemed to be identical and unique through our comparison analysis process. So we were able to make the matches based on those details to all 6 games. So that was a really cool one for us to work on. And yeah, given the whole backstory behind it, and the added challenge of it being, framed and cut up, made it a very memorable res match. So Kevin Ware, you have the honor of being the first overall pick in the res match draft in the last 12 months.
It's a good one.
1-1. All right, we've got Justin here with pick number 2 of the first round. Justin, what are you going with?
Love it. Will, that was a great pick. I'm shocked you didn't steal mine because we were talking about it yesterday. It's going to be with the second pick in the Resolution Res Match draft. We're going to go with the Bob Ross paint palette, the record paint palette. Probably the longest search in Resolution history. Definitely one of the coolest. It was res matched to 181 episodes throughout almost every season. It was a real incredible item to work on. It was really fun to work on too, because at some point there was this smiley face mark at the bottom of the palette that we just kept seeing over and over and over again. So every time I would see it, it would just make me laugh because I was like, yep, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. And yeah, I'm not taking the whole set. There's also some other items from that set, but yeah, the paint palette for me, that was the cool one because it was to 181 episodes. And some other undated images too. So we'll go with that with my first pick and with the number 2 overall.
And wasn't the palette photo match to the first episode, or am I mistaken?
It's
Was
either
that
I think
something
that might have been the
else?
easel.
Maybe it was the easel.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
that could be another cool pick to go with. I think the palette was the last. That was the last episode.
Oh, maybe that it was the last.
Yeah, because it just went throughout time. I think that there was 31 seasons there, so yeah, by the end of it, it was just so clear that it was the palette.
Yeah, obviously it
Mhm.
sustained a lot of use, and I want to say that the first res match we had was to the premiere of season 3. If not the premiere, it was something within season 3. But yeah, it certainly changed a lot of times. So it was fun to go back and see the usage throughout the years and how the characteristics were altered.
Yeah, fun
Very
edit.
cool. Yeah, great pick, Justin. All right, my pick here now with the third pick of the draft. An interesting strategy I'm seeing here. People are going with kind of a little bit more obscure first, a non-sports and NCAA. So, and I actually am following that same strategy. With my first pick, I'm going to go with the Novak Djokovic Australian Open final
Yep.
match use racket. Uh, this one, we matched it to multiple dates, 3 different dates of that Australian Open. Obviously, the biggest one was the final match. Um, and this one also recently sold at auction, sold at SCP auctions for $540,000. So it was a big sale. We always love seeing those big sales. I know that that's not a factor in the draft uh, thing here, but really significant, cool item. And he obviously won that Australian Open. It was the longest Australian Open final match in history. So a big piece of history there. Um, so that's what I'm going with for my first pick. Novak Djokovic 2012 Australian Open final match use racket. Um, Sherman, what do you have for your first pick?
For my first pick, I'm also considering which strategy to to employ. Now, do I use anyways, I'm gonna go with a pair of Michael Jordan 1996 black and white shoes. Anytime you get to work on an item of Michael Jordan from Michael Jordan, it's a, it's awesome. And for this specific pair of shoes, the client provided the date, that and the provenance was pretty good with that item. The shoes were acquired by, I believe, the Pacers ball boy, directly from Michael Jordan. Um, and the date was February 16th, 1996, against the Timberwolves. And when, sometimes when you're looking through the image sources, the 90s can be a little shaky, even for superstars. It's not the best time for, photography. Um, but we had one promising image to the left shoe. And this image was dated to that exact date. And for the right shoe, we had another great image, but this one was undated. And the fun part about this was doing the detective work to determine that image was from the client's date, because it's undated. We don't know. But looking at the game log, I saw that the Bulls only played against the Timberwolves once on the road. The Bulls only played in Minnesota one time during the 1995-96 regular season and playoffs, and they did not face them during the preseason, excuse me. And in the image, you could see that Dennis Rodman was visible, and the 95-96 season was his first year with the Bulls. So we know it was from that year, and we know that it wasn't from the following year, because that was when the NBA had gold NBA logo meant on their on the jerseys and shorts. Um, and because the Timberwolves were still wearing their old style jerseys, they updated them for the 96-97 season. They completely updated the style. Um, so we were able to pinpoint that undated image to that exact date. And because of that, we were able to make res matches to both shoes to that game. And Jordan had a pretty good game. He had 35 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in a 103-100 victory for the Bulls.
Very cool. Yeah, and I love, that's always my favorite on the resolution side as well, when we can do something that, we obviously take a lot of pride in, the thoroughness of our research process. So in that case, it was the dating research, the dating analysis process that we have, and yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, very cool pick. All right, well, we're starting round 2. We're going back to Will. It was interesting. As a very brief recap of round 1, we had 4 different sports, or 3 sports and 1 non-sport, or I should say 3 different leagues. We had NCAA basketball and NBA basketball. But yeah, good variety there. So starting with the first pick of the second round is going to be Will. Will, do you have your next pick ready?
Yes. Going into one of the more traditional leagues, going with my MLB selection, and it's Juan Soto, a jersey that was worn during the final 2 games in the NLDS, Game 4 and Game 5, 2019, and then the entire NLCS against the Cardinals as part of that 2019 Nats World Series run. And this was cool. So as opposed to Sherman's ResMatch, where we're doing a lot of detective work to figure out the date of the image, the client shared some exact dates for us to look into, and we were able to go through and confirm that everything matched up. There were some unique fraying threads, stitching imperfections on Soto's jersey throughout the front, back, and side. But the cool wrinkle here was that the client also had an Anthony Rendon jersey. So I guess kind of getting a little bonus here, but it was also used during the same games. And in fact, on one of the dates, I want to say it was game 3 of the NLCS, we were able to find an image that showcased the ResMatch characteristics of both, which is pretty difficult to have both of those minute details in focus. And so we were able to make a really cool and unique graphic to both jerseys from the same game and the same image. So the significance of that run as a Mariners fan, and like you, Sherman and John, I know we're optimistic that this year will be all our year and we'll get to have an awesome run like that in the playoffs. But to have a key contributor like Juan Soto for those memorable games, and then the cherry on top, just getting another jersey as well from those same games and able to match them both. That was a pretty cool and unique res match that we were able to accomplish.
Very cool. All right, Justin, pick number 2.
Yep, back on the clock. Gonna go with a recent one that I really liked working on. It was a Brett Favre tagged 2005, but actually 2006 jersey that we matched to when he set the NFL career completions record. So this one, like we said, 2005, it was tagged for. We went through all of 2005, didn't see anything, and just shows the thoroughness of our research. We went into 2006, started seeing some promise there, and Brett Favre is definitely known to switch jerseys, at least after every game, sometimes mid-game at the half. And this one he wore for 5 games during the 2006 season, including that NFL completion record date. And Will just threw in a bonus, so I'll throw in one too. We also worked on the road 2006 jersey, tag 2005, and same thing, like full season search, nothing from 2005, and then 2006 we matched it to 6 road games. So it was a strange season for Brett Favre, but we'll take it. Got to get some good research out of it and some good results for the client.
Very cool. All right, I am taking my second pick here, and I am going to stick in the NFL as well. We've stayed away from Seattle so far, which is good. We're not playing too big of favorites, but I'm going to break that trend. I'm going to go with the Russell Wilson 2015 game-worn jersey. We've been able to res match a couple Russell Wilson jerseys, but not too many. But being a Seattle sports fan, that was the up until maybe now, that was the undisputed golden era of Seattle Seahawks football. Threw for 240 passing yards in the game, had a touchdown as well as 52 rushing yards. So that was ResMatch to November 15th, 2015. So that's going to be my second pick here in the second round. Sherman, what do you got?
I am going with an item that I worked on, so I'm very familiar with it, and it is the Mariano Rivera 1996 gray jersey. So the client believed that he had it photo matched to the ALCS, but the jersey also has a World Series patch on the sleeve, but the client wasn't sure if it was worn in the World Series or not, so he wanted us to obviously research that. And so we started with the ALCS, and we agreed that it looked good, and we made a match to the ALCS. But unfortunately, there weren't many images of Rivera from the World Series, and this was in 1996, so it was early in his career. So I was watching game footage. I wasn't sure what to expect because he likely only pitched in one inning in the game, and this is 1996. The quality is not going to be obviously high resolution. So I was watching his inning, and there was a good shot of the back of his jersey, and on the back of the subject jersey there were 4 loose threads on the top of the back, one of the back numbers, and in that close-up image, you can kind of make something out, but it wasn't too clear. So I went back in and looked for the highest resolution version of that game that I could find, and I found a decent one. And in this version, you could clearly make out the 4 loose threads on the back. I believe it was the back 4, and we confirmed that it was a res match to that game, which was Game 4 of the World Series. So we ended up making res matches to both the ALCS and the World Series, and this was the Yankees ended up winning the 1996 World Series, and this was the start of the Yankees dynasty, and they ended up winning 3 more World Series in the next 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, that was another one. I like the theme of your picks. Some extensive dating research on the resolution side. This one was a great find on just the image research side of things, to be able to res match it to the World Series. So I see a good theme there. I like that on your 2 picks. All right, we're gonna go to round 3. We're back up to Will, and we'll go a little bit more speed round for rounds 3 and 4. So we'll talk a little bit, about the item descriptions and the res matches, but we'll go a little quicker through these closing 2 rounds here. And Will, you'll be starting it off. So far, you've used NCAA basketball and MLB baseball. So those are off the board for you. What do you have next for your 3rd pick?
Yeah, I'm actually going back to the NCAA ranks, but this time for football. And I'm picking a Sean Taylor jersey that we did maybe 10 months or so ago. This was cool because it was from when he was a freshman at the U. And I didn't grow up watching the U football, but I've seen the 30 for 30, knew how stacked those teams were. And honestly, from like playing Madden, rest in peace, Sean Taylor, taken from us too soon, but credit to the EA Sports team. They always find a way to get him in the game, and he's a heck of a lot of fun to play with. So a slight personal connection there from that, but this was cool because he was a freshman and really wasn't playing that much, but we were able to res match it to a game against the University of Washington in November 2001. And this was a difficult match where he was, weren't a ton of images out there of him. He was making a tackle, so the jersey was distorted, but we were able to go through on mesh hole alignment and some of the marks that were visible on the jersey and confirm that those were unique to make the match. And I know we're saying value isn't one of the key components of this draft, but I do have to mention it was pretty cool that the client shared that he got it for just over $1,000, got the res match, and then sold it within like 6 or 7 months, and it sold for 28,000 with the res match. So it was really fun to get his email afterwards saying how pleased he was. So that just made it all more sweeter.
Yeah, No, that's awesome. The value add examples, obviously, you know, that's a big part of our, you know, what we bring, the financial value as well as the historical and just cool collectors value with a resolution photo match. But yeah, that's a great example there. All right, third pick, Justin. You've used a non-sport and an NFL, so you got a good amount to work with. Justin, what are you going with for your third pick?
Yep. Back to the draft board. We're going to the NBA. I just like saying this guy's name. Detlef Schrempf. We're going Detlef Schrempf, 1992 triple double game worn jersey. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't from his time with the Sonics, it was his time with the Pacers, but
Okay.
after working on it, finding out it was a triple double jersey, I don't think the client knew that to begin with. So, yeah, I've always, just like Will was saying with Sean Taylor and Madden, Detlef Schrempf in 2K is automatic. So being able to work on one of his jerseys, match it to a triple double game, I think he had like 25, 14, and 12. Really cool item, and I love that guy, so had to pick him.
Very cool. All right, my third pick here, and I gotta say, I wasn't sure. If you'd asked me before the draft, I would not have thought I would have gotten this one in the third round. I feel like this has fallen a little bit on the draft board, but I talked about it in one of our resolution videos, and I'm going baseball here, and it's Shohei Ohtani's 2025 game used walk-off home run bat. So we were able to res match it to the exact at bat of the walk-off home run, which was, I believe that was on the 7th. We res matched it to 2 dates, and there were 2 home runs. I can't remember which one was the walk-off, but April 2nd, 2025 and April 7th, 2025. So, you know, Ohtani, obviously the best player in baseball, and a walk-off home run from him. I mean, he is just the epitome of clutch. A little aside, I play fantasy baseball. I usually do just one team, but I did 2 different leagues this year. And in both of them, they were randomized draft order prior to the start of the draft. And in both of them, I randomly got the first overall pick. So I was, both drafts were on Sunday just a couple days ago. And so I was pretty stoked. I got Ohtani in both leagues. So I'm feeling good about my fantasy baseball chances. But anyway, so that's going to be my pick for the third round. Shohei Ohtani walk-off home run, game used bat. Sherman, let's see. You've used NBA and MLB so far. What are you going with, Sherman, for your third pick?
So I was also going to talk about the Djokovic racket, so scrambling a little bit, but I'm going to save my other original one for last, and I'm going to go with the Sabrina Ionescu 2025 black jersey that we recently worked on, and we ended up photo matching that jersey to 6 regular season games and also the 3-point contest, which she ended up winning. And in total, she had 108 points, 27 rebounds, 32 assists, 7 steals, and 2 blocks while wearing that jersey. And like I mentioned, this was her second time winning the 3-point contest, and she became the second player in WNBA history to win multiple 3-point contest titles.
Very cool. All right, final round of the draft. We're going back up to the first pick person here. Will, you've used big college basketball, college football, as well as MLB. Will, what are you going with for your final pick of the draft?
Going across the pond. With the World Cup coming up, I want to pick a soccer jersey, and I'm going with the Heung Min Son 2022 jersey. So he played for Tottenham at the time. Now I want to say he's in the MLS with LAFC. But on this ResMatch date, they were playing Arsenal, and they won 3-0, and Son added a goal in the jersey. And yeah, I took up watching a lot of Premier League in college, and I didn't really have a team, but of course it's a lot more fun when you have some skin in the game. So I ended up going with Tottenham after following this Amazon Prime all or nothing behind the scenes documentary. And I felt like Tottenham was cool because they were a big club, so they'd play in a lot of, you know, the Champions League and other European matches. And in theory, they weren't supposed to get relegated. Like they would be up there forever. And they don't really have a rich history, so I didn't feel like I was going to be, you know, just glomming on to Manchester City or something like that. But this year they are like 1 point away from relegation, so they're just having a nightmare of a season. It's an absolute debacle, and this jersey was ResMatched to better times when they could actually beat their rival and weren't in the cellar of the Premier League. So Sonny's jersey is my selection.
Very cool. Justin, what do you got for your final pick?
Yep, I served the Shohei walk off up to you on a silver platter, so I'm just gonna go with something better. I'll go we'll go Aaron Judge 2022 walk off game worn cleats. They were worn in June and July of 2022. Matched it. The last date they were worn in was a walk off against the Royals. I think he also had another homer in that game, and yeah, matched to 5 dates. Great pair of cleats. So we'll use that for the last pick.
Very cool. All right. Well, I'm a little torn here. There's an Alexander Ovechkin. There's actually a couple items here, but I'm going to stick with an NBA item. So I'm going to pass on the Ovechkin, and I'm going to go with Sherman. You had mentioned a 3-point contest winner, and I'm going to go with another 3-point contest winner here. This is another jersey. This is Steve Kerr, 1994-1995. And this is another jersey that we ResMatched to a 3-point contest championship, I believe. I believe he won it. Let's see. Yeah, he had he competed in the 3-point contest. I'll have to double check if he won it, but that was very cool. And we also ResMatched it not only to the 3-point contest, but also to a regular season game. So, you know, you have both November 9th, 1994, February 11th, 1995. So he wore it over an extended period. The ResMatch was made based on some loose and fraying threads. I believe there was some mesh hole alignment involved as well. But that's why I'm going to go with for my final pick, Steve Kerr, 3-point contest jersey. All right, Sherman, the last pick of the draft. What do you got?
All right, for Mr. Irrelevant. So for my first 2 items, they were ones that involved some, you know, extensive detective work. And for my final pick, this item sticks with that trend. And my selection is the Travis Kelce jersey patches that we had. So basically, we just had 4 cards, each of them with a large swatch of a patch, supposedly game worn from one of his Chiefs jerseys, and that was essentially all the information that we had. I did some. So the back of the card is interesting. It had 2015 and 2016 printed on the back, and we weren't sure, you know, which one it was. So I did some research. I found the old South sheet from an old Panini blog post, and I found that subset in there. So I learned that are the cards that we have are from the 2015 National Treasures, which released in March of 2016. So the patches would have to be from a 2013 to 2015 Chiefs jersey, you know, assuming that the card was made in time for the product's release and not like a redemption or anything. So, on one of the patches was a large mark, and based on the orientation of the patch, I could tell that it was from a number 7, either from the front or back of his jersey. It couldn't be from the shoulders because the shoulders patches would have been too small. So going through those years, I made sure to keep my eyes open for, you know, marks on the 7s. And I was thrilled when I found the match to the November 2nd, 2014 game, where Kelce actually scored a touchdown. It was his 4th career touchdown. And like I said, I was thrilled because I wasn't sure if that jersey could have been from the preseason, or maybe I could have glossed over, like maybe I saw an image from a game and said, oh, there's no mark there, where the mark could have occurred after that photo was taken. So when I saw that image, saw that mark there, I was overjoyed.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's those patch cards are super interesting. I love it as well when we're able to res match a card, because it's pretty rare. A lot of the times you can't do it, but if it has some unique characteristic, you can clearly tell us from a letter, and it has, multiple loose threads, or maybe it's, a big enough chunk that you can see a lot of mesh holes and you could find a match that way. Or in this case, you had a big stain on it, and that a stain is going to be a great characteristic. And so those patch cards are interesting, but when we're able to res match one, that's a lot of fun. So very cool. Well, I think that was a successful first resolution item draft there. We all had some cool items we were able to feature. So great job, guys.
Yeah, I think we got to recap it really quick and then let people speak their mind in the comments, give us some feedback. We got to have a winner for this thing, right?
I like it. I like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can start. So my 4, to remind everyone, and these are the best selections, of course. Let's see. It was the Kevin Ware NCAA basketball jersey. It was the Juan Soto playoff worn jersey, with the bonus of Rendon being featured in the same graphic too. It was a Sean Taylor college football jersey. And then I closed it out with a Heung-min Son jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, those were great picks, but I think it pales into comparison with Deadlift Shrimp. So, yeah, we had Bob Ross, the record res match, 181 res matches. Went with Brett Favre, set of 2, but mainly talking about that NFL completion record jersey. And then my guy Detlef, and then we had a Aaron Judge walk-off game-worn cleats from 2022.
Mm-hmm. I'll run through mine. I had the Djokovic Australian Open final bracket, a little bit of a high profile one there. And then we're going Seattle, Russell Wilson 2015 res match jersey. Then again, the one I think really fell on the draft board, Shohei Ohtani 2025 walk-off home run res match bat. And then I closed it out with the Steve Kerr 3-point contest and regular season 94-95 Chicago Bulls jersey.
All right. Well, my first pick was the GOAT, Michael Jordan, 1996 black and white shoes, followed by Mariano Rivera's 1996 gray jersey, which we photo matched to both the ALCS and World Series. My third pick was the Sabrina Ionescu black jersey, which she wore in 6 regular season games, including and the 3-point contest, which she won. And my final pick was the Travis Kelce jersey patches, which we ended up photo matching to his 4th career touchdown game.
Very cool. There we go. The draft is in the books. So for our next item for discussion today, and I think we'll probably close with this, I want to do a little resolution photo matching behind the scenes. So we can just take some time to talk about kind of some things we're working on right now over the last week or so here. What everyone's doing on the research side, on maybe on the operation side a little bit, and just give the listeners a little sneak peek to what goes on here at Resolution. So maybe Sherman, we can start with you. Just tell us a little bit about kind of what's been going on lately, what you've been working on, any notable findings or anything like that, or notable items that's been on the board the last week or so here.
Yeah, I've been working on some Hall of Fame baseball jerseys. I just turned in a Ted Simmons 1978 white jersey, Cardinals jersey, and no offense to Ted Simmons or his collectors, but he's not the most glamorous Hall of Famer out there. So there's not too many images of him, and he was a catcher, so a lot of those images of him are the front of his jersey is obscured by his gear. So I was going through our image sources and didn't find much. There just aren't many images of him in general. And then I was getting to near the end of the search and was checking some footage and stumbled upon a kind of a photo slideshow from it looks like it might have been from a photo day. Some family attended, and they took a lot of pictures of them with the players, or just the players interacting with fans. And one of the images happened to be of Ted with I would assume somebody from the family, and that image is very promising, and yeah, I think we have a decent chance at a ResMatch on it.
Very cool. Very cool. Any other notable items right now?
Yeah, I'm currently working on a Bruce Sutter 1978 jersey, and this one is a blue pinstripe jersey. So obviously, with the pinstripes, it's a great characteristic to have. And I'm still working on the search, but so far I found some really great images based on the pinstripe alignment, and I'm almost certain that one's also going to be ResMatch to at least one date, potentially more.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, Justin, let's cycle over to you. What have you been working on?
Yeah, for op stuff, got some videos that just went out. The Wilt Chamberlain video on our YouTube of him. We res matched to a Kansas Jayhawks orange jersey, so that was a cool one with March Madness here. And then yeah, we just posted on our Instagram and X and Facebook about the Amelia Earhart flight worn cap that we matched. I think it was back in 2021 from her flight, the transatlantic flight. So yeah, one of the coolest items we've ever matched. Super rare. And yeah, so that got out today. Some cool stuff on social media.
Very cool. Will, how about you? Again, we'll go a little behind the scenes here. Will does, a lot on the operations side, helps oversee operations and logistics, submissions, and then also helps with overseeing some stuff on the research side. So you got a little bit of everything. But what are some of the notable things behind the scenes lately for you, Will?
Yeah, I've got another video coming out. Justin mentioned it as well, but this one's for the Diego Maradona Hand of God goal. He wore this jersey while scoring that goal. So with the World Cup coming up in a few months, that's a fun one to highlight. By the time this comes out, that'll be posted to our Resolution socials and uploaded to our YouTube, Resolution Photomatching, the very next day, so Friday. So looking forward to seeing the final cut of that. But we've also, as far as research items, we've been working on a large set of Brett Favre jerseys. I should say more than just jerseys, cleats, pants, helmets, all from his Packers time. So that's been cool to work through. If folks go to our website, check out the latest ResMatches page. That's updated weekly. You can see some of the cool matches we made there. Excuse me. And yeah, we've got some good baseball items coming through. Just ResMatch some CC Sabathia jerseys. Got some soccer stuff, some Erling Haaland jerseys. One from Man City, one from Norway. We'll get to see him in the World Cup this year now that they've expanded the field. So yeah, we're moving and grooving. A lot coming down the pipeline, but yeah, as you can see, we've got a nice array of items. So it keeps it fresh for us. It's fun.
Very cool. Yeah, and I like the mention of the latest ResMatch page. That's a newer page on the Resolution website, and we'll probably be doing, definitely keeping that updated. We might be doing some kind of additions to it as well. But I wanted to ask you guys too. I didn't get a chance to ask when we were doing the draft. how did you guys do your pre-draft scouting? Because we have a few different internally. We have, of course, the latest ResMatches page, which is a public page on our website. And then internally, we have our item database, which lists all of our items that we can go through, as well as our graphics. We have a database of all of the different graphics we've made. It's made of different ResMatches in the last year. What were you guys using to do your scouting?
I went through the item database. That's what I was going through. Look at the items we res matched, and then I'm communicating with all the clients, so they pop into mind like, oh, okay, what happened with that search? How did we make that match? So I use that to kind of jog my memory, and then noted a bunch of the ones that stuck out. A lot of you guys took the ones I was hoping for, but yeah, that's what happens. All part of the game. But yeah, that's how I jog my memory.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a cheat sheet on Google Sheets, so I only have the matches there from when I update the certs on our website for the people who join our membership club, our membership program. And so yeah, it was only the matches. It was easier to go through. Helped me to make my selections pretty easily. And yeah, just looking at graphics, seeing which ones were the coolest ones.
Yeah, for me, I think I just chose some of the ones that stood out, the ones that I worked on that were memorable, the ones that I spent extra time or really dig deep into the detective work to find the matches. And then, like you said, I also checked the search doc and search docs and res matched databases to fill in those empty spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, the memory part is kind of funny because sometimes I'll just randomly remember a date of a res match or a characteristic from, multiple years back. And then other times, I can't remember something, from a couple weeks ago or something. But yeah, I used a combination of all three areas, the res match page on the website, as well as the graphics and the resolution item database. But anyway, that's kind of gives the listeners a little behind the scenes on kind of what we use internally here. But and as far as what I've been working on, I'm not going to give too much away on a couple things, but I'll say very early stages on a Michael Jordan piece, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to give a lot of details there, but we're just starting work on a big Michael Jordan piece, and then I'm also doing something on the operations side, a new project that, again, I'm going to wait to give too many details on, but I've been spending some time working on that. So that's what I've been doing lately. And then I think we got to close it out here, talk a little bit about March Madness. When this episode comes out, it's going to be start of the second week of March Madness, and we did a bracket here. I don't know why I'm the one bringing this up. It's not going too well for me. But yeah, how's what's everyone's thoughts after week one of March Madness?
Yeah, my bracket's it's okay, but I lost some deep guys. I had Gonzaga a pivot to the Final Four. That was a late change in my bracket. Certainly regret it now, but I still have Michigan in the dance. So as long as they win it all, then however my bracket plays out, it's fine by me.
Yeah, you're a Michigan alum, so that's obviously your rooting interest there.
Yeah, those late changes are always the one that get you every time. Yeah, I'm St. John's alum, so I took Duke to win off Will's advice that I should probably go against the grain. So I have some, at least if they lose, I won't be too distraught. So yeah, but definitely rooting for the Johnnies. And yeah, we got a few people with Duke to win, so I don't even know if I'll end up winning anyway if Duke wins it. I know Ivan's in the lead right now, another one of our researchers. So yeah, hopefully $100 Amazon gift card on the line. So and bragging rights, which are more important.
High stakes.
Yeah, and let me clarify. I was saying it's emotional hedging, and I've done the same with Michigan when they're, 4 or 5 seed. So if they lose, hey, at least I picked it. But if they win and screw up my bracket, that's a welcome problem.
I like it. Yeah, a little bit of best of both sides there. Yeah.
For me, I'm not a big college sports fan in general. So
Yeah.
I haven't followed along with any of the regular season. So when it came to my bracket, I just pick the heavy favorite here and there and upset here and there, and then that was it. Like you said, I didn't waver. I didn't flip flop too much after that, just in case regretted it. And I think so far I'm doing okay. I think I'm around the middle of the pack.
Yep. Yeah. I think Justin, you might be up near the top. I think yeah, most of you guys are in the middle, and I'm had a rough first week of the bracket there. I think I'm sitting down at the bottom, but we'll see if maybe some of my teams can make a turnaround. I think I want to say 4 or 5, probably like 5 of my elite 8 teams are still in contention. So I think I still have some late potential, but my championship, not too creative of a championship, is still there, Duke, Michigan. And let's see, Arizona was my other one, and then North Carolina was my Final Four team. That was my big, the six pick. That one didn't work out. They got busted out early there. But and then my other one, the game I watched, I've only watched a few games so far, but the one I watched pretty much all the way through was Santa Clara against Kentucky. And Santa Clara was my other big upset team. I had them going, I think, Elite Eight. And they were there up 3 with 3 seconds left in regulation. And then Kentucky hits the half court buzzer beater to tie it and then takes them out in overtime. So that was kind of a rough one for the bracket. But it was a great game. And at the end of the day, that's, when I don't have a huge fan interest in March Madness, the Huskies are my team. They weren't in it. And so I just want to see good games at the end of the day.
Yeah, another great one was that Nebraska Vanderbilt game. We almost had the even crazier buzzer beater that went halfway down and then bounced out, but that was really fun too, given the atmosphere that it was in Oklahoma City. So a lot of the Cornhuskers made the trek over. But yeah, we've had some great games. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up for today's episode of the Game Used Podcast, our first Resolution Roundtable. Feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what you think, what parts you liked, what parts you didn't like of the Resolution Roundtable episode. But we'll potentially mix some stuff like this in from time to time in the future. Our main format is going to continue to be interviews like we've been doing. So I hope you guys enjoy those. But we'll mix things in from time to time. So, but anyway, for all of us here on the Resolution Photomatching team, thank you very much for listening to today's episode of the Game Used Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.